I'd like to position it today and get you to think about how AI can really supercharge your creativity and rethink creativity in the AI era and position AI in your brain as assisted, not artificial. So, I think the opportunity with uh, with with our creativity is to really take that and, unlike so many people around today, not just produce kind of vanilla content where it's clearly artificially generated or generated by a machine. So what we want to sort of focus on today is how to help you combine your creativity with precision of AI, because I think that is where we need to take this, and that's the opportunity. We're all unique. We've got our own unique talents, our own unique perspectives, and when you combine that with the power of AI, that's where you can really supercharge your creativity. So, I just want you to sort of stop and think about it from that perspective today, and how AI can help sort of deal with all those mundane tasks that come across your desk by this kind of super assistant that can really help you take those and give your time back for more important tasks. So adopting AI in our workflow, I think, is critical. Like, there's no sort of stopping the tidal wave that's coming. It certainly changed the work that we do at Connect, which is our digital software development agency. We jumped on the AI train about 2-3 years ago when we started using it in our product. But then last November, when ChatGPT was launched, that's when we really started to kind of get excited about it and realize that it's within everyone's reach to tap into and make use of. So we started playing with ChatGPT last November. The first couple of weeks, we were kind of had our minds blown and did some early work with it. And since then, we've been using it to build AI powered business apps and software. So it's been an interesting journey, and one of the mindset, or sort of the mindset shift that we had to have with it, was that you need to rethink how you approach problems and be prepared to be flexible, figure it out, experiment before you can then scale it within your business. So, all these AI tools are potent, but they're not perfect, and their power is there to be unlocked by you as users. So think about, you as the conductor and this kind of, amazingly talented musician that you can work with, and it's your role to really guide it and steer it to be your kind of best worker, that's always on point, always functioning, never getting tired, and really helping you, achieve the tasks or the goals that you need to in business. So that's where we're heading today. But I think really it's just refining your thought process around that and having a clear perspective on what you need AI to do, what you want to ask AI, and if you just sort of see it as a competitor to the way that you think and the way you act, I think that's the wrong way to look at it. You need to understand how it works to tap into it to then help you excel at what you do, because otherwise it's just what I call artificially intelligent. Like, you're not actually using it for for the in the best way that it's intended to be used. So first up, I want to share just a bit of content um, to help you think about AI, help you sort of position AI. This is a I guess just to give you a broader perspective on AI and where things are heading, and the usage or the uptake that we're seeing across the board. So I just need to figure out how to advance these slides. There we go. So with the kind of latest craze or focus on ChatGPT and the other tools that have come sort of out alongside that, they're under the generative AI banner, Gen AI. But AI is a broader discipline. It's a broader kind of, there's a whole range of tools there that are already in services and platforms that you use and probably don't even think about. When you open up your phone using Face ID, for example, that's using a type of AI that's specific for facial recognition. It's using computer vision. ChatGPT is generative AI, where the algorithm in the machine is being used to create a new piece of content, whether that's music or poetry or copy or some kind of design. That's generative AI. But there's this whole range of other sort of AI niches or focuses that are also starting to become more prevalent, and people are becoming more aware of how they're coming together in what we call general AI. And that's really the future. These use cases that we see on the screen here are pretty narrow, and AI is really good at doing narrow focused tasks and being good at those because they're repetitive. But general AI, when it comes to reasoning and sort of human type thinking, that's the next boundary, and that's where companies like OpenAI are heading, and that's why companies like Microsoft are right on board with it. So I want you to have a think about, sorry, just go back a page here. It's a little bit slow. So I want you to have a think about where you are in this, what I call an implementation roadmap. So if you're looking to, for example, scale AI out in your business, I think what we're focusing on is right at the sort of start of that journey, where you're exploring the tools that are out there, you're becoming familiar with the language, and then as you become more familiar with that language and as your colleagues become more familiar with the tools that are available and the power that's in those tools, that's where you can formalize things and formalize the experimentation phase before you then think about security and more robust privacy measures, for example. So we're just focusing right at the start of this roadmap here, where we're thinking about the basics and understanding some of the terminology that you need to be aware of when it comes to using tools like ChatGPT. This is a really important slide because of the growing awareness and usage of tools like ChatGPT, of generative AI, amongst younger generation, the younger demographic that's coming up in the workforce. So us sort of like I'm a Gen Xer, but when you're talking about Gen Z or millennials, like the usage that they've got, or the expectation on the usage is a lot higher. And you'll start to see candidates come through into the workforce with real AI fluency, and they'll expect to use these tools because they're used to using them. When it comes to Australian usage compared to global, like we're not bad. We are lagging behind the growth that's seen globally, but it's somewhere between sort of 3 and 5 million monthly users of ChatGPT as one tool, and there's others that people are using. But that gives you an indication of the usage that we're seeing, the growth in usage that we're seeing with ChatGPT. And a lot of people are using it for work, and often that's uh, without really any kind of policy or governance around what's happening with their usage at work. So, privacy and security are big concerns that we need to start thinking about at a corporate or a business level. So I think we're really at this crossroads in the use of AI, and a lot of people are concerned about the risk, understandably so. But the opportunity, in my mind, far outweighs it because of the disruptive nature of it. And it is going to replace job functions. But if we can understand how to use our creativity with the precision of AI, that's to me where the real opportunity is. And it doesn't replace things like experience. It doesn't replace that kind of years of learning and failing and succeeding to sort of build in us that natural sort of gut feel and experience that we have in business. And when you look at sectors like the financial industry, there was a survey done over in the US with the CFP organization that's certified financial planners, and they did a survey to thousands of Americans, and they were comfortable with implementing financial planning advice from a generative AI tool like ChatGPT, but they were far more comfortable if that advice was verified by a financial advisor. So, there was sort of a 20% shift in confidence if that information they were given, that advice they were given, was generated and then verified by a financial advisor. So, that's to me a good example of how we need to think about AI and the results we get from generative AI to then augment our experience, overlay our experience and our creativity, and helping our customers or our teams with that information. So I think this crossroads is real. Like, we need to understand the risks, and privacy and security are large risks, but the opportunity to me is massive, and I think it's the single biggest opportunity that we have in our generation to really transform our productivity and efficiency. And that's why I'm here today, to sort of share some experience and some learnings and get you on that road to help your workday. In terms of what to expect, like, I'm probably saving somewhere between 5 and 10 hours a week from generative AI. Here's some official numbers on the screen. So think about it from an efficiency and a productivity perspective. Think about it from a research and data perspective. If you're in that space, we've got a number of we got some feedback as part of the sign up, which we'll go through in a second. But just to position again how to think about AI in your role at work, I recommend you pick a focus area. In this case, it's customer experience. You haven't heard of that acronym. CX is customer experience. So if you're using a really good app on your phone and the whole experience is really nice, that's a user experience. And if you have a customer facing role, customer experience is your main focus. That's your top priority. So think about how you can use AI to be better at serving your customers, to give them a better experience. And I've just put 3 suggestions on the screen here for you to think about, and hopefully orientate your thinking to focus it on a really important output or focus of your work. So with customer experience, how can you be better at serving your customers, give them more focused, relevant content? How can you support them better? How can you be more effective in turnaround times? How can you make better decisions and give them better advice? So all those things focus on the customer, and think about it from a production or a sales role or an internally focused role. It might be finance. Think about how you can use AI to really streamline your workday, be better at your output, and be faster at what you do. So I think that's a useful way to frame AI, and not just approach it like, let's just kind of see where this goes. Like, have a goal and focus your thinking around solving the problems that are stopping you from being better, in this case, at serving customers better. I think that's a useful way to sort of position the way that AI can be useful in your role. Here's your feedback. I asked on the sign up form or the registration form for the webinar, like, what are your biggest challenges? So we're going to jump into a sort of a practical demonstration in a second, but here's why you're here. And I'll try and frame the demonstration around these problems. But these are sort of common, workplace problems or common workday problems. And there's some interesting ones here, using a bit hard to read. Try and zoom in. How's that? The generating faster and more insightful outputs, like, will demonstrate how to do that. There's a couple here that are more sort of software, kind of app driven solutions, like creating a centrally accessible digital client file. That's a bigger problem that single AI tools probably can't solve, but AI powered tools can help you solve that, and that's where you can think about how AI can be enabled in platforms to then help you with your client files. But certainly around innovation, ideas, paper-based processes. Paper-based processes is probably more of a software solution. Human error, checking things, certainly AI can solve. There's a really interesting one there around scaling, which I'd be keen to chat to you about. Scaling is a real, like, we've come up with a framework on how to scale AI within an organization, and happy to share that with you. But essentially, it's just understanding the steps to scale out what you're doing in your role or what your teams are doing individually to then formalize that. And one of the first ways to scale AI in your organization is to have what's called a prompt library, which then gets managed and maintained and improved upon. And there's options after that, but you can sort of step through a roadmap those options depending on your appetite for or your need for security and your appetite for complexity, and just understanding how you can proceed from individual use into company-wide implementation is a really interesting one. But yeah, productivity, data privacy, literacy, we'll cover off on those things as we jump into some of the use cases that I've saved a lot of time through the use of AI. So think about it from kind of these buckets. In terms of my role, like, I save 5 to 10 hours a week with creativity, sort of enhancing creativity just around ideation and generation of ideas, where I might do a draft on an article or a draft on a deck or something I'm creating, and I can turn that into multiple ideas or iterate it really quickly by throwing it at an AI tool. If I've got writer's block, I'm stuck on how to create something or generate something, then I can just brainstorm it with a tool like ChatGPT. And we just need to be really careful with this. This is where our creativity comes to the forefront, but we need to be really careful with not producing what I call vanilla content. You're probably already starting to get emails come through in your inbox that just look like they're written by a machine. And to me, that's not taking ownership of whatever content or whatever email, or no matter how small it is, we need to take ownership of that content that we create. And if we don't, it's just vanilla content that anyone can write by asking a machine a question. So this is where we need to, I believe, think about AI in terms of, like, our creativity combined with the precision of AI is where the magic happens, in my opinion. So if we're stuck on something, we can use it to help us get through that blocker. If we need to research a whole bunch of information, we can use it to do that really quickly. And that's enhancing our knowledge and our perspective on something in a way that we haven't been able to do before as easily as we can do now. And, in some ways, it's just a lot easier to get started and to fail than it has been ever before. Yeah, in terms of creativity and productivity, that's how I've used it. Research and information certainly is a massive time saver. I've had requests for proposals come across my desk and it's about a topic that I don't know anything about or very little about, and I can ask a tool like ChatGPT to summarize that and then give me more background information, so I have a basic level of understanding of that particular topic, and then I can respond to that request for proposal in a more relevant way. And that's how I think it can really be useful for things like research. Decision making is a really big one, I think, for just someone to bounce an idea off. If you're working from home, for example, and you don't have a coworker to bounce an idea off or to help you get some perspective on something, it might even be a contract. You can throw that at a tool like ChatGPT, get a response back, and at least have another opinion, although it's a machine's. It will help you evaluate that more objectively than what you can look at it. So there's so many ways that you can use the tools like that. But also for things like image generation, if you've had a look at our website, which is knkt.com.au, all those images on there were generated by a tool called Midjourney. And Midjourney is a generative AI tool that you can brief in using a text prompt and it will generate an image. So that's the kind of tools that I use every week to, help us be better at marketing, better at content, more accurate in what we do, and yeah, be faster and have high quality output. So let me jump into a screen now. I just want to jump across into the actual tools that I use and recommend, and you've probably heard of a lot of them. I primarily use ChatGPT. I use the Pro version, which is $20 a month. But depending on the kind of flavor of output that I want, I might use Google's Bard or Microsoft's Bing engine, which is essentially an OpenAI or a ChatGPT powered tool anyway. And depending on what you're looking to do, you can use a combination or you can cross-check between those different tools. But just remember to be deliberate and conscious in your usage of them. Like it's really easy to waste a lot of time on playing around with, cool things like poems or whatever it is. But, just be deliberate and conscious about what you're doing and sense check things. Like if what you're doing requires a sense check, it needs to be accurate. It needs to be maybe compliant with a particular policy or, some kind of framework within your business. You don't want AI kind of hallucinating and giving you some crazy results. So part of that is understanding prompts and the structure of prompts, which I'll talk you through, and give it context. So make sure you understand the risks. If you're comfortable with those risks and you know that you need to sense check things and cross check things for accuracy, then you can go for it. But just remember that the biases of tools like ChatGPT can be amplified. So be conscious of what you're working with, and don't get too distracted by some of the capabilities of these tools, because it's easy to get lost in them. It's all about helping you be more productive, not less. So we'll just jump into a screen share. Jump across here. This is a tool that you may have heard of. This is called Crisp. So this is one way that I use AI for productivity. This is a meeting recording platform, and it sits in your browser. And what it does is it essentially writes or records everything that you speak about on your meetings. So we've got 5 people in this meeting here. We've got a full transcript of that meeting that I can then go and read back if I need to. I can action it and I can get a summary from the notes here. So we've got a sort of a top level summary here, and then we've got some action items that I could copy into ChatGPT and write a summary on. But what that's allowed me to do is be more focused on my meetings. Like one of the biggest problems I think with video calls is that it's really hard to focus on on the speaker or the other person that we're interacting with because we're busy taking notes. And if it's a client discussion or a potential client discussion, if it's a sales call, it's actually a lot harder to be fully engaged with that sales prospect. But using a tool like Crisp, there's others like Supernormal that do this same thing. It means that I can just focus on the other person and discuss what I need to discuss without having to worry about remembering things, taking notes, and remembering the action items from that call. When you're talking with a sales prospect, if you can remember three things, if you can just like really listen to their problems, if you can restate their problems, and if you can then tell stories about how you've solved that for other people, this tool allows you to do that more effectively because you're focused on what they're saying. So that's just one thing I thought I'd mention um, as a really nice way to use AI in the background and save you a bunch of time when it comes to follow up and um, to taking notes. Oh, Crisp, I've just put that in the chat. So I'll go through a couple of use cases now. Just for fun, I'm not sure if you've ever done this. I'm just going to try this. This is a live demo, so anything could happen. Just share this. So here's, we'll just kick off with something a bit more light-hearted. But here's what you could do if you're stuck on, I don't know, something to cook for dinner tonight. I'm just going to upload a photo of what's in my fridge. And I'm going to ask ChatGPT. So with ChatGPT Pro, which is the paid plan of ChatGPT, you get some extra features. And one of those features is called multimodal. It allows you to upload files, PDFs or spreadsheets or whatever, and then ask questions of that. So the free version has got some limitations around that. So one of the recommendations is to upgrade or go across and use Microsoft's Bing platform with AI enabled in that. But I'm just going to say, help me. So this is relatively new to ChatGPT, and it's got some image recognition capabilities. It can actually produce images as well now. So you can use tools like Midjourney for that, or you can use tools like ChatGPT 4 to generate actual graphics. So here we've got a pasta with chicken and vegetables based on what's in the fridge there. So I've taken a photo of a plate of sushi and asked it what the calorie count is, and it's come up with the names of all the sushi on my plate and a calorie count. So pretty powerful. It's like this image recognition combined with its memory gives you this kind of output. So use it get creative with the ways you use it. And that's just kind of a fun example as to how you could use it for this particular purpose if you're stuck. So if you don't really know how to tackle dinner tonight, there's a suggestion. Give that a go. But what we want to do is have a look at some more productivity type use cases. And let me just grab my notes. The first one we'll do is solve the problem of how we can sorry, how we can do some quick research. And just a note on prompting before we get into that, I just want you to think about um, this principle called the 10-80-10 principle. And prompting is a way to is a way for you to initiate a conversation with ChatGPT. That's the first 10%. ChatGPT does the 80% of the work. In other words, it will then go and do what you've asked it to do. And then the final 10% is really where you tweak it so it's yours. So think about prompting like that. So that question that I asked ChatGPT up here, help me with a recipe for a family of four, that's a prompt. And the style and the nature of the prompts we use determine the output, and they need to be really clear. So I've got an article that I can share with you um, called "The Art of Prompting," and I'm happy to send that around afterwards. But essentially, it's giving it clear instructions. It's being clear with the output that you want from it, and it's giving it enough context about what you want to ask it to then give you the right output. Over here in ChatGPT Pro, just going to open up the side. We've got custom instructions here. And this is where you can put in some of that repetitive sort of prompt engineering that uh, you quite often would ask ChatGPT as part of your prompt. So use this to build out the story or the context around your role, what you're looking for, and how you'd like ChatGPT to use the information that you give it. So I've said here, I want responses to be in UK spelling, not US. And I don't want a summary at the end of my responses. Whereas out of the box, ChatGPT will give you all of that additional information, which after a while gets really repetitive. But think about prompting, do some research on prompting, and just understand how it can influence the output that you get from it. So what I want to do is just kind of propose a um, propose a use case, and this first one is all about understanding um, how you can use it for really quick research. You know, say for example, you've got a client, you might be in the export game. You have a client who wants to export electronics to Brazil, and it's a location you don't know much about, and he's going to drop in for a coffee in 30 minutes, and he's a high value client. He's one of your top clients. He's a VIP, but you're really unprepared for that. So how do you then use AI to help you prepare for that? Do some research on the government, opportunities that are out there. Have a think about what Brazil's policy and frameworks are like to then give him some advice on, or at least have a heads up on. And then you probably want to summarize the meeting and give him some kind of an output from that meeting. So, that's a use case where, when it comes back to our CX, the whole customer experience side of things, that's a use case where we can use some of these tools to really help us do that a lot faster than what we would otherwise. So let me just share another screen. We'll talk you through that. I'm going to jump across into Google's tool, which is Bard, boot screen. So hopefully that's easy to see. And I'm going to prompt like this. One of the interesting things about Google's AI tool is that it gives you the ability to fact check things based on a Google search. So here's a good starting point. Like, I know nothing about how Brazil operates when it comes to importing electronics, but it's given me a starting point here. And if I'm in this game, I'll already know some of this, but it will give me some references to go and check out. I can ask it for websites of these places, and I can start reading up on them really quickly. So it's already kind of given me a head start. I don't need to go and do 35 Google searches. I can already start to see some of the certifications. Here's some websites, and there's a couple of examples of what I need to think about. And if I click on this tool here, I can double check the responses, and it will go and do an actual Google search to evaluate it's like, kind of like fact checking American politics. Like, you get a highlight up the top here for anything that looks a little bit dubious or doesn't match up. So green is good. It's found some content that matches. There's some irrelevant or didn't find relevant content here. So you need, well, that's just talking about the website. So probably a little bit, you know, not really worth pursuing, but you just want to check out those things that it highlights and does a quick sort of Google search on to see if there's a legitimate source of that information. So after a while, if you use ChatGPT and ask it the same question, you'd get a slightly different response, and you'll start to understand the pros and cons of ChatGPT versus Bard, and they've got different, strengths and weaknesses. That's how you could really quickly get up to speed on what's going on over in Brazil and how to think about exporting to Brazil. I'm going to ask it to write a one-page summary. They're probably pretty typical kind of project assessment and planning output. You could ask it to get more specific with that, but it's given me a starting point, and I may agree or disagree with that and choose to refine it. So this is where you can have a conversation with Bard and just go, "This is not relevant enough." Research due diligence checklist and incorporate these into the response, for example. Or you could ask it to write you a draft email based on this and inject additional context into it. So that's where you can really understand, a topic really quickly, help you do research and prepare for a meeting, and ask it some crazy questions, and it will at least go and find relevant references to then give you a starting point to go and check out. So that's how an example of how you can use a tool for really quick research and dig in with that, like in terms of follow-up prompting and sort of second stage prompting. You can get really specific with the way that you then dig into those details. Just going to go back to Chat GPT for our next couple of demos. Sorry, I can't sort of switch straight across. This will work. So I'm going to upload a PDF, and this PDF here is something that I need to write a standard operating procedure on. It's an ethical supply mandate from, I think it's the government, the Queensland government. So here's an example of how you can have a discussion and ask ChatGPT to analyze a document. So what I'm doing is I'm going to brief it with a prompt like this. I'm writing standard operating procedures for our team. like this PDF and write a 10-step SOP to help us comply. You probably want to give it some more context than that. That's a pretty brief prompt. If you had um, a particular platform that you use to house those SOPs, and it needed a programming language to give to your developers, you could do that. Uh, if you wanted it in a Word document, you ask it and it will give it to you. But use it to really quickly summarize a PDF. If I wanted to understand the 5 takeaways from that PDF, it would give them to me. But use it for, to just distill a lot of information. I think that PDF's like a 45-page PDF. And here's the start of an SOP that we can then use in our internal documentation, bring it across into whatever tools that we use that our team can refer to, link across to the PDF. So again, a really quick way to solve that problem and save me, 15 minutes of time. Now, this is not basic ChatGPT. This is what you need to pay for, and uploading files like this is part of the Plus plan. Similarly, I've got an image, and this is from a Japanese researcher called Yukawa, and this chart is from what's widely accepted as the most complex paper ever written. And I'm just going to ask ChatGPT to help me understand what this chart represents. From Yukawa's paper. I'm not going to give you any more context. Let's see what it comes up with. So there it is. I can't even remember the name of the paper. It's that complex. All right. So ChatGPT's picked it up. It's Meson theory of nuclear forces. And here's a summary of the chart. So if your kids need a hand with homework, this could be an option. So ChatGPT has given me this explanation, but I don't get that right. This is where you can kind of ask it a follow-up prompt. Ask it to explain it to me. I'm 6-year-old. And it will give you a distilled version of that with a story. Guys, this is how, if you're a teacher or an educator and you need to present information, this can really help you distill complex material and just focus in on storytelling to then get the concept across. So that's a really powerful way to just help you think about complex problems or ideas or situations and distill them down into something that you can probably relate to and communicate in a more effective way. So that's an example of kind of evolving your prompting just to get a more understandable outcome. So we've covered a few use cases there. This one I'm going to go through now. I'm going to upload another file here, and this one's a bit more complex. I'm going to upload a file that's got all of the financial services providers around Australia. This is public information. It's from the ASIC website. And say, for example, I'm looking to open a new financial planning office, and I'm based in Perth. So I want to know who my competitors are. And this information that I've uploaded has got some pretty comprehensive details about them. I'm just going to ask it to summarize data. Key insights on WA companies. To expand my Open a new office in the Kalamunda area. Could be some customer data, could be sales data, product data. Just be aware that I've uploaded or that you're going to upload this to ChatGPT, and there's security concerns around that. So the reason I use this is because it's public information. Just be careful and conscious of the data that you're pushing out to a tool like ChatGPT. And if it's got PII, which is personally identifiable information, or sensitive company information, don't upload it. Like anonymize it first before you do that. So there's just security concerns around what you push out into the cloud, and think about that, and think about the implications of uploading company data. Just thinking about it. There's some really okay. So here's some key insights which would have taken me a lot longer in Excel to figure out, unless you're a gun at Excel, probably. Okay, so it is within 10 kilometers of Kalamunda, and so I'm asking it for some specific information to help me understand, where I want to place my new practice. So doing research with a data set is really powerful. This can help us just uncover opportunities and just find insights that we would find it hard to sort of drill into otherwise. So two competitors there. I'm gonna plot all. See how this works. I'm going to ask it to produce a map for me. If you wanted to export this in a particular format with a subset of this data and give it to you as Word or PDF, it would do that. So think about it. Think about how this could work with your workflows. And if you've got information that you need to process really quickly and extract insights from it, this is a great way to do that. And even if you then download that data and bring it into another tool to do further analysis or charting on, you can do that really quickly just by chatting with it. So this is a real, I think this is a game changer from a data analysis point of view. You can effectively, for a lot of the sort of basic data analysis tasks, not have to ask an analyst for that anymore. You can use a tool like ChatGPT for. Okay, I've asked for it on a map, but it's given me a scatter plot instead. But it's given me the specialty. It's given me the kind of where they plot on the scale of latitude and longitude, which is a bit of an interesting output. Not quite what I wanted. I could go another step further and ask it to put it on Google Maps, for example, or put it on a map for me to then zoom in and out of, and it would do that. But you can see how it's given me a kind of a random output, but at least it's a visual to demonstrate for the purpose of this webinar how it can work. So there's a few examples of how it can be used. I'm going to stop sharing now and ask for questions. Kevin, Whitebard versus ChatGPT. I use the pro version of ChatGPT and those tools in terms of its data analytics, and it's called Code Interpreter. Are just really powerful. I started using them earlier. Is the short answer to that. And the outputs that you can get from it are pretty powerful when it comes to downloadable docs or PDFs. But that's a couple of examples. If you want me to jump into something else, please yell out in the chat. Um, and happy to field any other questions by, I think you can raise your hands in here. There should be some tools to let you raise your hands, um, or type away in the chat. I'll also share my email, so you've got that. I'll put it on screen, and you can please drop me an email if you'd like prompt the prompt cheat sheet, and I'll shoot that across to you. So there's my email on screen. Let me know if you like the link to the how to think about prompts and how to structure your prompts, and any other questions. Does Bing with ChatGPT give you everything ChatGPT Pro does? Good question. It gives you most things. I think the limitations are around file uploads. I think there's some limitations with what you can throw at it, but I know it certainly does. The Bing version gives you everything in terms of output on chats and the image generation capabilities that ChatGPT Pro does. I haven't tried it with file uploads yet, so yeah, give that a go. It may do that. Certainly come a long way since it was first launched to the market. I find Bard's output a little bit more sort of stilted or predictable, I guess you could say, than OpenAI. So you start to get a flavour of the outputs depending on what tools you use. But Bing is powered by the same engine or LLM, large language model, as ChatGPT. So same backend essentially, with the advantage of it being part of your search experience if you use it for search. It's all about experimentation. Once you've experimented and sort of understood how it can work within your workflow, once you've got your focus there on how you think it can help accelerate whatever it is that you do as part of your role and your focus at work, then hone in on understanding it to supercharge your capabilities and your output around those areas. So if there's no other questions, we'll wrap it up there and give you 5 minutes back. It's been good presenting today. Hopefully you've got some value from it. We've got a no problem, Martin. Thank you. We've got a sort of AI for business leaders site that we're spinning up. It's future.knkt.com.au. I'll just show that on the screen so you've got it. Down the bottom, AI for business leaders. It's at future.knkt.com.au, and we're releasing information on that regularly, with sort of highlights and insights on AI and its role in helping us grow businesses. So yeah, thanks for your time, everyone, and reach out. Look forward to hearing from you. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.